Hello, my friends. Welcome to the House of Knowledge. My name is Katekaev Г.М. I'm very glad to welcome you on our webinar. It includes answers to the most common questions you've sent to us. And the topic of our webinar is the time machine. So, as you have learned, the time machine is a novel written by H.G. Wells. It was his first novel and was so popular that it has been made into two successful films. The novel is about a young scientist, Alexander Hadjian, who invents a time machine and devotes his life to traveling through time. Wells' attention to detail makes his work seem believable even today. In the video lesson, you will read an extract from this novel. As for today, I want to start with Biography of H.G. Wells. The English author Herbert George Wells, also commonly referred to as the father of science fiction. In addition to writing a lot of science fiction works, Wells also produced other numerous literary works under many other genres, including history, social commentary, politics, and contemporary novels and texts. H.G. Wells was born in Bromley, Kent County, England on September 21st, 1866, to Sarah Neil, who worked as a maid to the upper class, and Joseph Wells, a professional cricket player and a shopkeeper. The family suffered poverty, and Wells' parents didn't lead a happy married life. They eventually separated, but neither of them married again. Wells developed an interest in reading beginning in his childhood. He would devote a lot of his time to reading everything that came his way. Wells studied at Thomas Morley's Academy, but was forced to drop out, not being able to afford an education when his father broke a leg and was unable to play cricket and pay for Herbert's school. Wells, now 14, began working as an apprentice to a draper, where he gained experience and inspirations later reflected in his works Kipps, 1905, a story about an orphan, Archie Kipps, who makes his way to the upper class after gaining a large inheritance and education. His experience at the draper's shop was also reflected the views of Chance, a bicycling idyll, 1896. In 1883, Wells won a scholarship to the Normal School of Science in London, where he discovered his interest in science. Under the expert teachings of Thomas Henry Huxley, Wells studied biology and Darwinism. However, once again Wells was unable to complete the course of his studies. Unable to meet the degree requirements, Wells lost the scholarship. Facing an extreme financial crisis, he began living with his aunt and uncle at Fitzroy Road in London. During this time, Wells taught at his uncle's school and also studied there part-time. In 1891, he married his cousin Isabel Mary, who also lived with the aunt and uncle. The marriage dissolved 4 years later when Wells left Mary for one of his students, Amy Catherine Robbins. The two got married in 1895 and had two sons. In spite of being married to Amy, Wells kept relations with other women who also became inspirations for some of his characters. Two of these men, Amber Reeves and Rebecca West, gave birth to Wells' children. Although Wells had been writing for a long time, he published several of his stories in 1895. Some of his early published stories include Select Conversations with an Uncle was his first, followed by The Time Machine, 1895, The Wonderful Visit, The Stolen Bacillus and Other Incidents. His collection of essays and stories, Certain Personal Matters, was followed by The Invisible Man. In 1899, Wells published When the Sleeper Wakes, followed by Love and Mr. Lewisham, and The First Man in the Moon. Well, Wells' first bestseller, Anticipations, was about what the world would be like in the year 2000. A Modern Utopia was published in 1905. Continuing to write prolifically, Wells published more significant works, including Tono Bangway, Floor Games, The Great State Essays in Construction, An Englishman Looks at the World, The War That Will End War, And Mr. Britling sees it through. Outline of history, a short history of the world, the signs of life, the shape of things to come, the holy terror, the new world order, and mine at the end of its tether. H.G. Wells died in his home on August 13, 1946. So, why did he write The Time Machine? Let's get back to the topic of our webinar. The Time Machine was the first novel about time travel, starting off a new era, so he must have wanted to be the first to write about it. He was interested in a series of time travel, so this is the main thing why he write The Time Machine. What three books did H.G. Wells write that were later adapted into movies? So it was The Time Machine, then Invisible Man, and War of the Worlds. Where is the setting in The Time Machine by H.G. Wells? The setting in The Time Machine is in two main places. The stories in the book is being told by the time traveler in his house parlor. The main bulk of where he is in the story, however, is around the Thames area of London in the year 800, 802,000 and 701,000. When was Time Machine by H.G. Wells published? It was published in 1895, like I said before. The author, he was at that time only 29 years old. What are some problems in the or with the Time Machine by H.G. Wells? The Time Machine was hard to control where in time it went. Everything flashed by too quickly. Did H.G. Wells really invent a time machine? He no, he just made it up, and it was just a novel, scientific fiction novel written by him. Can time machines really exist? Well, the time machines will never exist. Uh, why? My theory is if there is time travel in the future, for example, why isn't it here today? Someone in the future could just bring a time machine back in time and then bam, time machines for all eras. What I'm saying, if there was ever a time machine, there would most likely be evidence of one day uh, of one today. I mean, a one-time traveler would be able to give a time machine to the first era of humans, and then it would exist until humans go instinct. I'm not bringing in any science because I personally think this theory makes sense. Well, dear friends, I think the topic of future and the time machines is now absolutely clear for you. This is all for today. Thank you very much. The webinar is over. Goodbye.